guest has appeared in so many television advertisements, it would seem she's running in virtually all 435 congressional districts of the United States. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi will join us in a moment. But the voting has already begun. In our third story, 3 million Americans have cast ballots in early voting, and in many states, Democrats have an edge. The survey by the Associated Press does not measure how people voted, of course, but whether those early voters were Democrats or Republicans. More Democrats than Republicans are voting in Iowa, Maryland, North Carolina, and Louisiana. Republican voters are outnumbering Democrats so far in Florida and in Colorado, and it's basically a draw for now, at least in Maine and Ohio. But overall, Republicans have made gains in early voting compared to their own numbers 2 years ago. And with that as preface, joining me now, as promised, the Speaker of the House of Representatives and Congresswoman from the California 8th Congressional District, Nancy Pelosi. It's good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
My pleasure. Thank you.
I want to talk about the elections, obviously, but let me start with what we mentioned earlier tonight, this New York Times report on the Chamber of Commerce. The first, or half of the Chamber of Commerce donations in 2008 came from 45 donors. Half of the total of $149 million from 45 donors. It's the nation's largest lobbying group. It's essentially representing a constituency in double digits, and it is all over the election without identifying who gave it its money. Did you know that the chamber was so concentrated toward the super rich?
Well, it's interesting because they have about 300,000 members, right, and half the money coming from 45 corporations. It's a bigger issue. It's about our democracy, and they give new meaning to the term "buy American." They want to buy these elections. So elections are always about the future. You know that, Keith, about what is our vision for taking America forward. As the President said, we're going forward, we're not going back, we're fighting for the middle class. This election is also about our democracy. If they win, which I fully intend to stop them from doing, but if they were to win, it would mean that we are now a plutocracy, an oligarchy. Whatever these few wealthy, secret, unlimited sources of money are, can control our entire agenda.
And because of this Times report, we get sort of the vague outlines of who we're dealing with. Prudential Financial, $2 million when the chamber was launching its offensive against regulating Wall Street. Dow Chemical was $1.7 million as the chamber was working against tighter regulation of chemical facilities. It's similar stories for Goldman Sachs, for Chevron Texaco, for Edward Jones Brokerage. How do we fix our laws after that Supreme Court decision so that we're no longer prey to companies that are blocking our attempts to improve this country?
Well, first, let me just say, as you read those names, it's clear that there are those on Wall Street who want to block the Wall Street reform. Some of the greatest reforms in decades, and for consumer protections, the biggest in our nation's history. There are those who want to stop our creating good, clean energy jobs. You see the energy and chemical companies who want to stop that. So they have an agenda that is counter to the reforms that we have put forth. What we have to do is say to them, stand by your ad. You're so proud of yourself?
Yes.
Identify yourself. And that's what the Disclose Act in Congress would have done. We passed it in the House. There were 59 votes in the Senate. We couldn't get one Republican to say disclosure is the right thing to do. The court made a terrible decision. It was contrary to the fundamentals of our democracy. But at least people should be able to know where this money is coming from.
Obviously, the first step towards that is getting this message out. You've spoken extensively about it. The President has spoken extensively about it. We've reported about it whenever there was something new and worthwhile to report. Has the message gotten through? Is the message gotten through in time for the midterms?
Well, first let me say the President mentioned this in the State of the Union address, so this goes back a long way. That was very, I think, important for him to do, and he, again, has kept that beat going, because it is essential and fundamental to our democracy that we not have it be wholly owned subsidiary of these corporations and as part of the Chamber of Commerce. But as far as the message coming through, our members who are getting hit 7-to-1, just brutal in terms of these negative ads that are going out there. And I might add, some of them, one of these secret organizations is asking the Hispanic community not to vote, to depress the vote. And the impact of some of these ads, they're so negative, is to depress the vote. So again, this is a real challenge to our democracy, and members are getting the word forward, but it's important to make the link. It's not just that Wall Street is contributing to whatever political belief they have. They are stopping Wall Street. They want to stop Wall Street reform. The Republicans have been very clear. If they take office, they will not allow funding to go forth to implement the reforms. Same thing with energy companies, same thing with health insurance companies. The list goes on and on. And so you have to make the link. Not only are they weighing in, what did I see today, that perhaps $7 million was contributed by the SWIFT voters?
To Rove's PAC, yes.
To Rove's PAC. Again, we have a distortion of our democratic system. So this is not just an election about our future. It's an election about our future and our democracy.
All right, and in this election, will there be a political upset on November 2nd, and how would you define upset?
Well, let me say that I have always thought that remain calm. I'd rather be in our position than the Republicans' position. Our members are battle ready. They believe in what they voted for. They're proud of it. They're fighting for it. They've all come, the ones who are under challenge have come from very difficult districts, so they know how to win those districts. I hearken back to '06 when we took the House. The president was in the 30s. President Bush was in the 30s. The war in Iraq was raging and a very big issue among the voters, and we won 30 seats. In order for the Republicans to take the House, they have to win 40-some seats. I just think it's a big hurdle. I think we're in a better position. We have the candidates, we have the issues, we have the grassroots. The only play we would have won. The reason they came in big with this money is they knew we were going to win.
It's the great leveler, yes.
And they come in and deluge, just drown out the voices of the American people. But we have to fight, and I believe that we will win.
Do you see the backlash in a lot of the House races that has been apparent in the Senate races to exactly the things we're talking about, this money coming in, the secret money? Do you see in your, either just by feel of touch and experience, that there is a blowback against that is favoring the Democrats because people are beginning to realize that the Republicans are funded by, shadowy groups, perhaps with international money, or at minimum with anonymous
secret
money? Secret money.
Well, yes, but what is also important to note is that when Washington was stirring up all of this in July and during the August break, when our members came back after the August break, they said, this is more a Washington story. This is not what we're seeing in our districts. Our districts are very difficult. They always have been.
Right.
In some of those districts that we won, President Obama only got about 35%. So one district in Maryland, he got under 30%. So these are difficult districts. So they didn't, they were not minimizing the challenge that was there. They just said, sometimes some of us have a Tea Party, some don't, but they're not really that big a factor in our district. So again, they're ready for the fight, out there to do so. And yes, 70% of the American people who know about these undisclosed, unlimited, unidentified ads say it's not right. The more people know about it, the better. And when it is linked to stopping Wall Street reform, stopping healthcare reform, stopping clean energy jobs for the future.
Give me a moment if you can. I'd like to take a quick commercial break and then come back and ask you about the former president, Mr. Bush, who emerged from the shadows to sort of unintentionally prove your party's point about Republicans and the economy regarding Social Security.
Yes.
Okay, stand by. We'll continue.